channel, where today, obviously, we're back on the 59 Viking here. So as you saw in the intro to this video, I was working on the front bumper brackets. So I've got them all built now. Everything's just tacked together though. But honestly, it's really solid so far. So once these get pulled off and fully welded up, super strong, ready to go. Now, the next thing I'm actually going to jump into is reinforcing this rad support a little bit more. So when I built this rad support here, I built this upright, bolts into this header panel, but I want to do something more. I can't decide if I'm going to come up with this to this fender edge, or if I'm going to go up to this join right here, which is where the fender meets the header panel, which would also be a pretty solid piece to bolt into. Haven't quite decided which way I'm going to go, but I want to do more than just that. I don't like that is holding the entire front end, just those two bolts on each side. So I will do that. However, right before that, I think I'm actually going to move this actual radiator support piece outwards. I don't think I'll go quite half an inch, maybe 3/8 of an inch. It's just still a little bit tight for my liking. The radiator distance between the rad and the tensioner itself kind of worries me a little bit. If I ever blew a belt, I don't know that I'd be able to fit a breaker bar in there. So I am going to move this. I mean, it's just tack welded, so I'll just cut the tacks here on both sides, and I'll just move this about 3/8 of an inch outwards. All that's going to do is just move the bottom of the radiator out this way, that same like 3/8 to half an inch. It won't affect the top, it's just going to kick the rad this way. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'll cut those welds and I'll move this. Then we'll start figuring out some way to support the fenders from this upright piece. right, time for an update. I cut out these sections of the factory Chevy inner fenders. They just go down just to where I have the grill cut right there. They actually block that spot quite nicely. They'll get a little bit of rubber weather stripping on there and then just totally seal up this gap to maximize the amount of airflow coming through the radiator. So we put those on there, both sides. Then I built this 1-inch square tubing bar that goes across here. And then I modified the factory 90s Chevy truck mounts that this radiator came out of. Modified them, drilled some holes, bolted it into this bar. And this radiator is nice and solid now. I like the way I have this modified. Don't judge the welds. It's double walled on the back, so you get lots of penetration there, and then you get to the front and I started burning holes through. So I'll clean that up a little bit, but it is nice and strong. It just doesn't look the prettiest. So then unfortunately, once I had this all built, put it in, put the mounts on, I go to put this on, and of course the hood latch hits this bar that I just built, which I was not thinking of. So now I need to go back and modify this thing again. I think I'm going to put another piece of square tubing in behind it. I'll tack it in and then cut out this one in the middle. So this will end up doing, it'll go this way and then it'll come towards the rad, come around and then come back this way to get around this hood latch. And I'm thinking that extra inch is going to be enough clearance. We will find out, because that's what I am going to do next. Well, as you can see, this piece fits perfect now. So as you saw, basically made this piece, tacked it in, cut the center piece out so it stayed exactly where it was supposed to be, welded it all up. It's not welded on the backside yet and the welds aren't cleaned up yet, but that's okay. We capped off the ends, and then once this is all ground down, it'll look like it's supposed to be like that. So I have this sitting in here now, and as you can see, this piece fits on nice now. I did clearance around these mounts. Obviously they were going to hit, so a little bit of clearancing there and on this side as well. Now this is actually going to work out really well, because from factory this piece had the radiator support running right along here, and this is what bolted into it, so it had lots of support on this top edge for the hood latch. Now obviously that's gone, but since I have this bar in here that I built, I can just build straight up off of that and tie it into these two to give me more strength for the hood latch. Now, I will need a little bit more than that yet, because as you can see, this metal is cracking around where the hood latch sits, and that's just from years of this wanting to twist when you go and you pull the hood release. This wants to twist like this. Also, it's trying to hold the hood down, so that's going to be vibrating and shaking while you're going down the highway. Along with tying into here, I will also be building some kind of a bracket off of this bar to get into these two bolts. I don't know how I'm going to do that yet. I'll probably pull the radiator and try to build something in from the backside, but this actually worked out really well with this bar being the way that it is. It gives me a lot of clearance in here, and then I can build my brackets. I can go up for the two bolts and I can come this way to bolt the hood latch in. So it ended up working out pretty good. It was a little bit more work, but it should work out just fine. But that is going to do it for today's video. In the next video, you'll see us build that hood latch support that I was talking about, as well as get that hood latch filler piece, whatever you want to call it, get that fully mounted up, get that all sorted out. And I have an air-to-air intercooler on the way. So hopefully that gets here in the next week or so, and we can try test fitting that in behind the bumper. And if that fits, then maybe we can try and figure out an AC condenser that will also fit down there. I really don't know how it's all gonna work until I get an intercooler. So I kind of just had to order one and hope that it works. I think it will, but just kind of hope that I can make it work and make it fit. So once that shows up, we'll be trying to fit that down there and try to get an AC condenser in there too. Once we get those figured out, then we can kind of move into the brakes and steering and start working on the firewall mounted stuff and trimming inner fenders so they fit as well. So like I always say, if you want to stay up to date on the build, you got to subscribe to the channel, got to like this video, comment down below if you like what you're doing. Also, go check out our TikTok and our Instagram, posting daily updates on there. Well, every day that I'm working on this anyway. So go check those two out, subscribe to the channel, like this video. And with all that being said, we'll see you guys in the next one.